You wanted to discuss something?
I found an immortelle.
Excellent. You wanted to discuss something?
I found a stolen dream. It seems powerful. I think it's a dragon's dream.
Excellent. That should do nicely. Come back and see me when you have the remaining ingredients.
I'm trying to learn something about the Wild Hunt.
Very interesting phenomenon. Like all mysterious things.
Willing to share what you know?
Well, I would be. Provided you found the notes of Morton Collis first. He devoted...
I found Morton Collis's notes.
So, let's see what you've learned.
Well, there are a few documented facts, but Collis notes the
Very true. Where shall we start, then?
First and foremost, Collis studied the hunt's movement.
Oh, it's well known that the Wild Hunt moves north to south, never in the opposite direction.
That's what I remember, and Collis's research confirms it. I'm just having trouble.
The retinue's trajectory brings it into our world at the North Pole. Thus, once here, the wraiths can only move south.
Collis claims the hunt's appearance can be predicted by observing the Orcan Nebula.
And eclipses affect how often it appears. In any case, it arrives on the winter solstice, though not necessarily.
Collis calculated that the hunt slips into our world in those years when the nebula is in the eastern sky. When I pursued the hunt, I passed through many abandoned villages.
Well, the Wild Hunt abducts young people.
What for?
The wraiths might need workers, warriors.
Collis seems to favor the slave theory. What's the sorceress's take on the hunt?
The topic makes them uneasy. Since the Council and Conclave banned the use of minds,
There's some link between mental spells and the cavalcade?
both addle the brain. Anyone who has come in contact with the Wild Hunt has experienced mental instability. You see, the wraiths emit a magnetic field that severely distorts perception and...
People say the hunt's appearance is an omen of war.
In our times, wars are so frequent, we might even consider flights of honking geese as their harbinger. The hunt traverses our world in winter. Wars usually break out in spring.
Let's summarize.
Based on his observations and calculations of the Wild Hunt's movements, Collis arrived at two equally important conclusions. The first was that the hunt is made up of knights who perished in various worlds. His second hypothesis states that an unknown, extremely powerful force multiplies wraiths, whose...
Each time someone runs into the hunt, the wraith's magnetic field causes their mind to descend into chaos. By inference,
Perhaps. Someone who lost their memory or their mind on their first meeting with the hunt could recover either on the second meeting. But I'm afraid...
So, you can lose or recover your memory.
Do you know something I don't?
I have amnesia, but my memory's been coming back
Since when?
since I killed a specter, the king of the Wild Hunt.
Try anything. Hey!
They say someone cast a spell, and the Virgin fell as if dead.
Could be. Sorcerers are a plague of the worst kind.
Who will the witches?
Serfs
Go
and
get the
lords will
lads!
never
We
be on
won't
the same
stand for
side.
this!
You must only care how the horses raise his stations
Cut the block off the
They're
next man
playing
who
into
dare try
Hensel's
and rape.
hands. If they start at each
Can
other,
we have a...
we'll have to face the entire amount of Kedwin alone.
See you at the inn. We'll grab a beer.
Guilt must
Can't
be
mix
proven.
water with
Otherwise,
fire.
it's vigilante
Give us
justice.
this whole
Witcher,
power.
come over here.
And you see what they did to her?
surly dog! You will change your tone when we put a sickle to your throat. Save your threats for your hog-smelling...
I'd gladly hear your opinion on the situation.
Finally, someone reasoned. It's obvious Hensel bribed some serf who then did what he...
That's interesting.
Just think it through. The prince couldn't have done it. The wine was in plain sight. Only the servants touched the decanters, and who... Then that same commoner incited his folk to stand against the nobles and the...
Something to think about.
Enough of this charade! Try to be reasonable, folk! We've talked enough! Come on, lads, let's drag the prince from his hovel!
Vergen's not a cesspit for anyone to shit in. There are laws to abide, and Scalen burdened...
There's no law allowing a serf to threaten a king's scion. I, Silgrat, brother of Seltkirk, the greatest knight...
Does it matter who was born in a castle and who in a pigsty? Any fool can prejudge and condemn. It's easier to accuse...
A peasant servant claims that Prince Stennis... Why would the prince do such a dastardly deed? Bear in mind how eminent is his lineage.
That's why! The mongrel covets the crown!
Do you even remember how valorous he was towards Saskia during the
Pretending to be with her, he was, sly fox. Taking the simple peasants in. But us lads ain't so dumb as you look.
See for yourselves how the commoners hate the prince, spitting venom.
Saskia's servant said that...
Where is this servant, might I ask? If he's got something to say, why does he hide like a thief? The answer is simple.
He's hiding to save his skin from you, whoresons. Squirrels have to guard him.
One last question. How could the prince poison Saskia? It's a known fact that servants taste wine.
No need to poison the wine. Smearing the poison inside the chalice would be...
I never heard of anyone poisoning a chalice.
You haven't heard much, then. One of the Emperor's forebears died after sampling some lamb. He was always... The murderer spread poison on one side of a knife. Then he cut the meat so that only a small piece was poisoned.
The witcher's right. Give us Stennis.
Saskia's got her own chalice.
It was commissioned from one of the dwarves. The order came with a very detailed drawing.
Even so, how did it come into Saskia's hand?
A good point. We can't be sure if the...
Stennis is blowing hot and cold. Everyone knows that.
You were supposed to prove his guilt, not insult him, yokel.
Tell us who else would do it. A peasant wanted to hurt the... A pig won't cut its own throat. A peasant's not foolish enough to raise his hand.
Perhaps it is no peasant's deed. However, that doesn't...
Answer me this. Was not Stennis's room next to Saskia's? Do not the wines come from his own lice-ridden cellar? Yes. His serene Damed the... Nobody in Vergen wants to kill Saskia. And even if they want it...
You're wrong, Colton. Reverend Olkin wanted to get rid of Saskia. He thought she was a monster at heart.
Alkan was on Stennis's leash like a dog.
How dare you, lout! Do you imagine if someone sits next to a married lady, he's surely...
The priest tried to convince Prince Stennis to join the conspiracy.
Is Stennis some dimwit foundling that he dances to it? Alkan got what he deserved when Hensel cleaved his head. Now it's Stennis's time.
There is no proof the prince agreed.
The priest asked him for admittance to the kitchen.
So he didn't poison the Virgin himself, but allowed her to be...
Those are just words. Too much guesswork and not enough evidence. You can't convict anyone based on that.
Your Highness, this is dangerous.
What do you want, to judge me? Is a prince a common thief who steals a dozen eggs? You stand before royal majesty, and you raise your hands against... In this world there are crimes that can be forgiven, and crimes that, just as a mother killing her own child, or a man slitting his own brother's throat, a crime against one anointed by the gods themselves also cannot be condoned. And what about he who poisons the Virgin? Firstly, Saskia is alive, so no one can blame me for her death. And thirdly, I assure all gathered here, I won't rise above the law. How can it? And if Saskia won't get... I believe she can be cured. But if the gods decide otherwise, we'll summon a covenant...
Those are words worthy of a true sovereign!
I am the one you should look to for guidance. Let my deeds be the flame...
The prince has a right to a fair trial, no matter if he's guilty or not. What will the peasants do if we hand them the prince? Will they hear him out? No. They'll hang him from the nearest tree. Or what will happen if we allow a lynching? What if people see that might makes right? Who'll guarantee they won't desire to? Who'll protect people whose only fault is noble birth from the exasperated mob? And where will it lead?
The peasants are furious,
They didn't dare mount a frontal attack.
but they haven't forgotten about Stennis. It'll be that way until Saskia regains consciousness,
She won't keep order by...
unless it's a great strength.
We need an authority figure, and royal blood.
5 courts go to waste in the Dwarven dungeon at the moment.
There's also Henselt.
Going into that haunted mist is madness. Stealing
No. Anything involving Stennis will cause a ru-
I've had enough of the peasants and nobles barking. Saskia's the best leader I know, but she can't hope to defeat Henselt's army with this rabble, which is why I'm going to get reinforcements.
Where?
4 Squirtal units await in hiding to the...
You'll make it in time?
I must.
You were right. The rebels show no thirst for blood. They disarmed us and merely demanded our word.
That's not good.
It's unfortunate, yes. For Henselt is blood.
I've heard a lot about...
Aye, Kidweni light cavalry. I met them at Brenna.
You mentioned earlier that you were looking for a witcher with a snake medallion.
Yes, on Sheila de Tan. As I said, the order was curt and specific. Kill him and...
I tried locating Triss, but the mist disrupts the megascope. There's a weak signal nearby, probably on the other side.
In the Kedweni camp?
You'll have to pass through.
The mist is full of wraiths.
I'll help you. I'm continuously scanning the battlefield. I'll show you the way through. I'll find you when you enter the mist.
Farewell, then.
We still need royal blood.
I know. Henselt.
We need his blood, not his death.
How many times do I have to tell you I'm not a...
Don't try anything.
me!
I can go no further. If Deathmold senses my presence,
How will I get back to Vergen?
I'll wait nearby. Hurry!
I knew it. Damn, I knew it was you. When the mist started whirling, I told the boys it's Geralt de Rivia. Well, my name isn't Vernon Friend of yours?
Just found him. He was already dead.
Interesting. Dressed like a Vergeni. You almost made it through the fog. What's your business here?
Triss is somewhere nearby.
Still looking for your sorceress. If she came here, I'd know about it.
In that case, you either know nothing or you're lying.
Plow yourself, son of a bitch. I owe you nothing. You made your choice. Fled with the elves while Vess almost died at that Horson Laredo's house.
I'm not one of your men, Roach. I didn't betray you.
I didn't say that.
But you thought it. You and your men against the whole world. Those not on your side are against you.
Don't you care about Voltest's death anymore?
The assassin kidnapped Triss, remember? Help me find her, and I promise I'll keep the word I gave you in the dungeons of Lavalette Castle.
I don't know why I'm doing this. Right. If Triss is anywhere in the area, it can only be one place. At the rear, near the riverbank. Then you can get there either via some caves or by sneaking through the main camp. I forget the gates. Believe it or not, the whorehouse is where you need to go to enter the caves. The ladies thought they'd use that passage to service the knights and nobles, but some monsters have their lairs there. If you've had your fill of whores and monsters, to the east there's a path that leads along the riverbank. That'll get you near the canteen. You'll have to sneak the rest of the way from there.
Thanks, Roach.
Hey! I'll hold you to your promise.
Magic or danger?
Huh?
Who are you?
Our descendants will decide who we were when they see...
The valley's been engulfed by a battle.
It's a place of horror. If you want to soothe their pain, you have to believe that Sabrina is what...
I won't achieve anything without some memory tokens. Magically active conduits left by those who fell in battle.
Faith. I don't know what... Courage, hatred, and death. There was too much of all of... But I remember a knight who, ignoring the danger, led a handful... Seltkirk of Gullet. Demaven's champion. When Vander...
Who were you before?
What does it matter? Look at the candlelight.
I can't hear a thing.
Then you're not ready. But your time will come.
Why do you need so many candles?
This is Sabrina's flame.
Did you rob?
I make the candles myself.
So long.
Smithy, change it you will. Into a sword, a shield, and some mail.
Out of the way! Blondie!
Her flesh, not any old flesh.
On hay in the barn, she really looks fresh.
Will you bring me
No
the...
matter the stench, the sweat, and the pain.
Oh! Bring back my Mary to me. To me. Ah!
I think I'm gonna feel... Hey, run to the harbour, lad. You don't know what...
is a measly drunk beast.
Hold formation! Forward march!
I'm glad our shift is over. Since that must appear.